Ever wondered why understanding a sale and purchase agreement is so crucial, especially for business owners? Well, this legal document is the backbone of transactions, outlining the terms and conditions of a sale. It's the written handshake that binds both parties, ensuring transparency and accountability. It's not just about buying and selling, it's the roadmap for a smooth transaction, protecting both parties from potential disputes. So, understanding it isn't just important, it's vital. So, let's delve into the key elements of this agreement. At the heart of any sale and purchase agreement are the subject of the agreement: product price and scope of supply and services, terms of payment, retention of title, warranty and claims, delivery place and time schedule, liquidated damages for delay, termination of the contract, liability, insurance, force majeure, settlement of disputes, miscellaneous, language and number of copies. The seller agrees to sell and deliver, and the buyer agrees to buy the equipment accurately described in below listed enclosures to this agreement, which form its constituent part. The total value of this agreement amounts to price. The price includes equipment, transportation and installation, and shall be paid in accordance with the terms of payment below. The price is firm and non-revisable. Scope of supply and services. This contract form supersedes all previous negotiations and commitments in respect of the matters herein contemplated, which are deemed to have been cancelled as and from the date of the signing of this contract, but without prejudice to the rights which have already accrued to any of the parties. And no party shall be bound by any undertakings, representations, or warranties not recorded herein. Should any party desire to change the terms of the scope of work, the following will occur. A. The initiating party will document the request in writing. B. Authorized representatives of seller and buyer will negotiate the impact of the requested changes. C. If the parties agree to the change, the terms of the change will be documented in a change order or amendment to the scope of work. And D. The change will take effect upon signature of a change order or amendment by seller and buyer. Upon receipt of a respective change request from the buyer, seller shall prepare an estimate describing the cost or savings resulting from such change, the expected delivery timeframe and implementation approach, and the expected effect thereof on the original work scope, provided, however, that seller may decline the change request if it should have a detrimental effect upon the performance of the work, or it is not within its ability to economically provide or perform the change. Any changes or variation to the work shall be effective upon a written change order document executed by the parties setting forth the modification and, as applicable, any resultant changes to the project schedule, price, and the terms of payment. Buyer undertakes to effect payment. Upon contract signing, payment of this amount is to be made against presentation of company guarantee as security for payment. Company guarantee shall be valid until readiness for delivery of material. Seller shall bear and pay the costs for the advance payment guarantee. The document containing the advance payment guarantee shall be returned upon expiry. Upon readiness for delivery upon completion of installation before buyer test phase upon the date of final acceptance, payment shall be made to seller's bank account. Payments have to be effected within 14 days of the date of invoice except the last 10% payment milestone. The last 10% have to be effected within 1 month. Equipment will stay property of the seller until the buyer pays him the total value mentioned in article of this contract. Seller warrants to carry out all installation and startup work within here, agreed deadlines for the technology in the scope of supply of seller, offer and layout, and in accordance with the rules of profession. Additional small changes will be agreed during detailed engineering phase and will not affect the price. If the changes are for additional technology, they are to be handled as change request. The warranty period for the equipment shall be 12 months commencing after final acceptance. For the duration of the warranty period, as defined above, the seller warrants that the equipment are free of the following defects: defective design, defective material, defective workmanship, and non-conformity of the equipment with the technical specifications. For the duration of the warranty period, as defined above, the seller shall cure defects promptly and at its own cost and expense, including any costs for dismantling and reassembling if necessary, as well as its travel and transport costs, either by repair or replacement. In case the seller is in default with its obligation to cure a defect, and in addition, buyer has given notice in writing about seller's default in curing such defect, and seller does not take effort to cure the defect within 15 working days after written notice by the buyer, buyer shall either be entitled to cure the defect or to have it carried out by qualified, experienced third parties, but in any case at seller's sole cost and expense. The warranty is not valid for damages caused by insufficient or incorrect operation and failure to observe the operating instructions and force majeure, normal wear and tear, inadequate maintenance, negligence or misuse, chemical, electrolytic, electric and abrasive influences, or inadequate foundations or building works. The buyer is entitled to terminate the contract if a defect has a material impact and substantially deprives the buyer from the benefit of the contract. In such a case, buyer shall return the delivered equipment to the seller at seller's cost, and seller has to pay back to buyer the received amount plus all damages that the seller is liable for under the contract. The delivery conditions for equipment is DAP, and all shall be interpreted in accordance with the Incoterms. Partial delivery shall be allowed. Seller will inform the buyer about the estimated shipment and expected arrival of the equipment along with specifications of equipment and all other documentation necessary for delivery. Seller is recognized as an authorized exporter with authorization number. This remark will be included in the invoice. Time schedule, contract signing, detailed layout plan, layout approval by the buyer, start of installation of automated system startup of the system/internal tests, preliminary acceptance, buyer test phase, final acceptance. This schedule applies for buyer only if seller fulfills its obligations under this schedule. In case of delay in delivery of the equipment caused by any reason on seller's side, seller will pay to buyer liquidated damages for delay in the amount of 0.3% of the total value for each week of delay, but not exceeding 3% of the total value under this agreement. In case of delay in preliminary acceptance caused by any reason on seller's side, seller will pay to buyer liquidated damages for delay in the amount of 5% of the total value for each week of delay, but not exceeding 5% of the total value under this agreement. The contracting parties agree that in case of delay as specified in previous item, buyer is authorized to deduct amount on the name of liquidated damages for delay from the payment that has to be effected pursuant to the article of this agreement without any prior seller's consent, provided always that the amount so deducted or paid shall be in full satisfaction of the seller's liability for the said failure.